The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this week. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxoft Solutions. Today, we're thrilled to showcase our new and improved CMS for Inventor plugin. Our presenter, Mahbub, will be walking us through how to produce and manipulate the DSTV file format with CMS directly within the Inventor environment after a brief introduction of the software as well. Just before we get going, I just want to remind everyone that at the end of the webinar, we will be taking a few live questions. In order to be selected, please press the raise hand button on the control panel. Just please also make sure that your mic is working correctly. If you'd prefer, you can also ask questions throughout the webinar in the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Mahbub now.
Thank you, Tanya. Hi, everyone. My name is Mahbub Rahman. I've been here with Struxoft Solutions for almost 6 years now. And I'm helping my clients worldwide for our solution CMS. Just to give you a quick idea about our software, it's the software is in the market for more than a decade now. It works on Inventor, SolidWorks, and AutoCAD, and at the same time MBS. But today we'll be working on showcasing our Inventor plugin that we have redesigned. So let's start. So what it does, so we can easily understand that that just reads in the 3D Inventor model and produce DSTV file, right? So we can work on both on part level and an assembly level, given that your parts have to be single body parts. So the file that we save, the extension of the saved file is .NC1. So all that NC1 files are as per the DSTV standard. So DSTV is just a German steel construction standard. So that has been adopted by most of the CNC manufacturer. And and then we have been, it's a pretty strong format, and it's really easy to interpret when you open your DSTV file. So again, just for those who are pretty new on this area in DSTV area, just wanted to give you a quick idea about what DSTV file is. It's just a sample, simple text file. You can just open it with your notepad and read those numbers. It's all numbers and few text, few characters. So as we already mentioned, that the DSTV is only works on a single body part. So even though you are working on an assembly level, each part on that assembly will have their own DSTV file, right? All it does, it describes your operation, your cuts, your drills, and if you have any kind of text stenciling, that kind of stuff has been detailed over there. So let's see a sample DSTV file. So you're probably already aware that in our website, we offer a free NC1 viewer that we call CMS viewer. So with that viewer, you can just open any kind of NC1 file and see that. So when you open an NC1 file with our viewer, so you're going to see on the DSTV console over there, you're going to see the DSTV file here, the NC1 file here. So the file starts with an ST command and ends with an EN command, right? So on this line over here, on this from this line to this over here that we call DSTV header data, right? The reason why I'm talking about that is one of a few lines over here that we can map from your Inventor iProperties. So those are the lines here. So if you these are for most cases are bookkeeping purposes. It's not something that technical that goes to the machine, but some machine, the CNC machine might be sensitive for those 5 input. So you just want to verify that quickly on your end, and set this up on our CMS end so that you can map your iProperties correctly to your DSTV files, right? So after header data, as you see, you have your drill operations. So BO stands for drill operations. And then, AK is your external boundary description. So it's just a sample example that you see over here. Let's go to our next slide. So here are some sample machines that runs our CMS DSTV files. So, you know, you're probably aware with those machines. But at the end of the day, any CNC machine that support DSTV standard will be okay with our NC1 file. So we do not target any kind of machine specific, but we target the standard. Rather, we target the standard. So, you know, we, you know, follow strictly the standard. So any machine, again, that supports the DSTV standard will be okay with our NC1 file. So now, what's the advantage right now in the new platform, the new redesigned Inventor plugin? So the main thing is that this is a totally plugin solution. So as you see over here, I have you know, something on the part level. So I have my total tab redesigned for the part level, right? And the same goes for the assembly level as well. So again, as you see, you know, it's a complete plugin, so the user will never leave your Inventor platform. So for the system administrator, you have less headache now. So you don't need any kind of additional system requirement for that. You can still keep your current access control for the users, right? And you don't have to change any user permission in terms of the, you know, exe, you know, what do you say? Like, you know, you don't have to change any kind of settings on your firewall as well. And the licensing system is a web-based licensing system. So if you're, you know, anywhere in the world, as long as you are connected to the internet, you can access to your license. It's both, whether it's an you know, floating license or a standalone license. So especially for an floating license, you do not need you know, your local server is not required. So again, as long as you are connected to your internet, you're all good to go. So now let's talk about what's required in terms of modeling, right? So the word or the wording that we use, we call feature-based models. So we work on feature, we look for features, and the models that are feature-based are compatible with CMS. So again, so as we mentioned before, that's your model have to be a single body, right? And I am looking at your main profile sketch. This is a must. So if I don't see a sketch, a profile sketch like an I-beam for an I, for a channel like a C, right? And for an angle like an L, for an HSS like this one, right? And when it comes to the shape, right? And when you're bringing your plate as a flat bar, right? That's what we are looking for, right? But if you're drawing a plate, you can just, you know, draw as usual, like your length and width, right? The sketch would be on the length and width. But if you're bringing your your plate as a flat bar, all we want to see your, you know, if we call it height and it's the width, so we want to draw it like, you know, W by H, right? So you draw it with your width and the height. Okay, so that's all about your, you know, Inventor area. So what happens, you know, if you're receiving any files from your third-party platform. So most of the forms are DSTV files, IGS files, SAT files, right? So we can work on those, but it's via a tool in Inventor, which is called feature recognition. So anyone who has a valid Inventor subscription, they can go to Autodesk App Store and download it from there. And it's very easy to use. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples on my coming presentation. After the slides are done, I'm going to show when I'm going to be demoing the stuff on the Inventor platform, I'll show you the process. So, you know, if you have any STEP files and IGS files, you can easily convert those files to a native Inventor entity, and where our software will be able to read your profile sketch, right? And based on that, you know, our NC1 file, your NC1 file will be ready to go. Remember, it's the critical thing that we look for is your profile sketch when it's a solid body. So if you open an IGS file or a STEP file on an Inventor profile, this is just a solid body. You don't have any feature over there. So the software will not work until you convert them to a model, to an IPT file, which contain features, right? So let's talk about quickly what's the process to create your DSTV file from your Inventor part files, right? So when you go to your, you open your part, you know, the ribbon will show up with your part setting window, right? The first thing that you have to do is the one-time settings is set your CMS, right? So that will allow you to, you know, dictate where you want to save your DSTV files, right? At the same time, mapping header data mapping, mapping. So which is, you know, that we mentioned in our sample DSTV, that like, you know, some of the lines that you can map from your iProperties, right? So we can do that over there. And then it comes to, you know, set orientation. So we're going to talk about that in our coming slides. And then you just click on generate DSTV, and then that will create your NC1 file. So so in a nutshell, if you open your part and your setting has been done just once, all you have to do is just, you know, set the orientation and click on your DSTV generator, and then your DSTV will be ready to go. So let's talk about the settings then. So so once you click on settings on the CMS settings, you have the different options to change your input output, you know, how you want to save your parts, right? So you can save your part as a part number, or you can, you know, just simply get your inventor part name, right? How you saved your part document name, and then CMS will grab it and save it as that your DSTV NC1 file name, right? And you can dictate where you want to save your files, right? And then the very handy and useful tool is the header manager. So you can it lists all the iProperties that you have available on your inventor model, right? And then you can just drag and drop anything that you want on those file lines. Okay, this is something that you can do as per your need. So, but the most critical thing that we always look for is the shape size information. We want to see on any of your iProperties should contain your shape size. So if you're working on in a W6 by 25 shape, we just want to see it in any of those you know, iProperties, and then I can just, you know, drag it over here, and then, you know, map it directly. So what happens, let's say you don't have it on your iProperties, and you don't want to change anything on your iProperties. So the workaround would be, you know, we have our shape catalog on the CMS that you can map your part to that from that catalog, and, you know, based on your selection, it will create your NC1 file, right? Just to let you know that our software is equipped with, you know, calculating the miters. If you have any miter associated with your parts, that will be calculating that, and it will be placing that on the header data. So as you know, we have 25 lines of header data. The last 4 lines talks about your miter angles. So if you have any miter angles, that will be showing up over here, right? So that's about settings. That's one-time settings again. And then the set orientation, right? So let's talk about how the software actually works. So when it comes to, it looks for the profile sketch, that the software is expecting to see your sketch on the front face, okay? Given that you are on an XY plan, that means your front face as this is your X and Y, right? And the extrusion, the positive Z, is like, and if you think it like that, so it's actually coming out of the screen from this point here, right? So the direction of the Z is coming out, right? So it's the positive Z direction is coming out of the screen. So this is how the software try to see your profile position, right? This is where you can dictate, okay, that, okay, this is an I-beam that's I'm working with, because from that position, the software understand, you know, it's working on an I-beam or channel or angle, right? Or HSS or a plate. So so what happens, like, you know, if you don't have your stuff drawn on the front face, right? So all you have to do is, you bring your, let's say you were working on a channel, you bring your channel just look like a C, but it was actually placed on a back face. Once you click on this button over here, set orientation, that back face will automatically become your front face, and that condition will be met automatically when you click on that. So all you have to do is just bring your channel or angle in either as an I-beam, it's like an I, C, L, or an O for an HSS, right? And then you press your set orientation, and then your next step will be clicking over here and to get your DSTV file. So sorry, let's go to the next one. So so again, how can I get rid of set orientation? I don't want to click on that. So again, so the best practice would be, and it happens when you work on an Inventor, if you're working on your, the parts that comes from your Inventor, what do you call it? Like, sorry, I'm just losing that word. Inventor library, right? So if you're pulling your part from your Inventor library, Inventor Content Center, that's the word that I'm looking for, the Content Center, right? So if you're bringing everything from your CC Content Center, that's you're going to see automatically all the faces. Your profile sketch is placed on the front face, right? And the extrusion is already that we expect, like the Z is coming out of your screen. So it's just like that. So once your model is like that, as drawn like that, you don't have to click on set orientation, because the set is the thing is already oriented that we expect. That's how the CMS is looking for, right? And then the next step would be just clicking your DSTV over here, right? And then once you click on there, then you're going to see that that's a part DSTV window will pop up, and that's going to show your DSTV file, right? And at the same time that your NC1 file will be saved on the path that you have dictated initially on your settings, right? So let's say you didn't have your setting was not done correctly, for instance. You didn't know, like, the setting was not correct, and then you didn't have your part number, right? So that we do have an error log that will tell you that. So it says already, like, that there is some problem with your part orientation. Please use your set orientation if you have that kind of issues. So the software will give you a clue if it experiences any kind of issues. And at the same time, if you don't have your shape size information on your part, that will give you a clue, and then you can just address those issues and get your DSTV done. So now the shape size thing that we mentioned, like, what happens, like, if you don't have it on your eye properties. Before going there, what we'll look for in your eye properties is the characters of your shape name. So if we're working on a W6 by 25, we'll be looking for the same character. So if you have any other way, let's say, like, you actually define your sizes just like that. You give them a library name and then the size, right? This is for example. If you have a different way of describing those parts, the shape sizes, all you have to do, you have to come to our CMS library, and then you update that form once. So it happens very rarely, but because most of the time I see that it just the Inventor itself only brings those characters as the shape size, right? But anyhow, if you have a different way of doing your describing your size, you can always come to those CSV files and edit those CSV files as per your need. And this is a one-time change that you have to update. So it's just part of the settings again. And then, as we talked about last time, that let's say you don't have that information on your eye properties, and you don't have the capability to change any properties over here. So then what you can do, you can just use our shape catalog information, and then you can map a size. It will show you all the library sizes, and you can just tag a size to that part. Okay, and that will allow you to convert your NC1 file. So we'll have an example, showing all the cases. Now, what need to be done on the assemblies when you try to process your assemblies? So, just to start with, like, we have 3 different options to work with your DSTV on an assembly level. So you can select a member, right? And then just create the DSTV. So you can just highlight a member, just point with your cursor, or just grab with your cursor with your mouse again, and then hit on this over here, the selected component, and the DSTV will be generated, right? Or you can just, if you have a big assembly file, right, and then you can just, select 1, 2 members here and there, and you can just tag those members, okay? And then you can just, create NC1 file from those tagged component, right? Or like, if you have a, manageable DSTV, manageable assembly size, you can just go ahead and create, the entire DSTV for the assembly. Right? Again, even though if you're working on the entire assembly, it's not going to be one NC1 file. It's going to be multiple NC1 file based on your part number, right? And then the CMS will be creating a folder with the name of your assembly, right? And then it will, on that folder, subfolder, it will just list your NC1 file, just the name that you have on your over here, or your part number. Okay, so it's again based on your settings, whether you are getting it from the part number or it's the file name, right, of your part. And then to minimize again, remember we are talking about this set orientation stuff. So if you have a different orientation, and you are not sure of, like, they are not necessarily following this generic standard, which is your plane, your front face on the XY plane, and the extrude the plus Z is coming out of your screen. If it's not like that, and different orientation is existing on your model, then you have to go to your part level and set your orientation for all the parts, and then save that part, and then run your DSTV conversion from this window here. Okay. So let's go to our next slides. Now let's talk about what happens, like, you don't have anything that is, it's a native Inventor parts. So again, we can easily work on that if we have access to your, feature recognition tool, as we mentioned, that you can download it from your Autodesk App Store. And all you have to do, you open your step file with your Inventor, you isolate your member that you want to try to convert to, let's say for example this one, and as you see I have some plates attached to that. Then you have to get rid of those plates for sure, because that the DSTV will be can be created only for a single body part, right? And then you just run your feature recognition, automatic feature recognition tool, and then it will automatically save your part as an IPT files, and then you just run your CMS command at the end, and then your NC1 file will be ready to go. So that's pretty straightforward, right? So that's pretty much it, I believe, in terms of my my slides. And let's now get into some examples on the Inventor platform. Okay. So the first thing that I'll be showing you how things works on the part level, right? By the way, if your parts is designed on as a frame generated models, these are all supported, okay? And if you have a derived part as well, this is supported as well, okay? So let's work on this simple side beam here. As you see, if I just bring it over here, this has been created from Content Center. So as you see right away, my front face, if I just go to my front face, it's on the XY plane, and the Z is definitely coming out of my my screen, the direction, the plus Z. So this is exactly what we look for. And I'm going to show you an example. What if, like, if you don't have something drawn with these cases, okay? So my next example will be for the other case. So as you see over here, once you come over here, you just and the first thing that you had to make sure is set your set your CMS settings, right? So you just make sure that you're going to be saving how you want to save your DSTV files and where you want to save it. So I'm going to be saving my on that path. So I'm just going to show you that that folder been created here. As you see, my folder is empty. That I'll be creating all my NC1 file on that location right now, right? And then my header data, that's I'll be getting my line 1 as from description. Line 2 will be part number. That's the reputation, so I can just take anything that I want. So I don't know, like just trying to think of what can I take over here. Let's say I take project over here, right? And this is designer and material. These are like, most cases it does not give any technical input to your machine. So it's but some machine has some sensitivity for those lines. But the most critical part is your shape size information. So if you have to have it in somewhere over here. If you don't have it, then you have to use our shape catalog over here, as we mentioned, that will give you access to our library and different standard libraries and different sizes, different profiles and different sizes, right? So I can just see, quickly verify my eye properties over here and just to see whether I do have those information over here. So as you see, I'm working on an 8x18 I-beam, so I have it over there, right? So I'm going to close it, and I don't have to save anything. It has been saved over here, so I'm just going to close it. All I have to do, I don't have to set orientation, because exactly what we have is our standard. So all I do is click over there, and here you go. So as you see, that's your part DSTV. It shows you what operation been created here, right? And that's all been listed over here. And if you go back to my that folder that I talked about, that's will just show you the NC1 file just been created. Okay, so the file is just grabbing your part name. So as you see, the part name, sorry, it said getting your part number. So as you see, the part name is beam A, but it didn't save it as a beam A because the CMS beam 30 was my part number. Okay, and my settings was for part number, so that's why I grab it from there. Okay, so let's verify that quickly, right? As I said, like, we will provide you with a free CMS viewer, which is available on our website, so you can just go and use that. So let's try to refresh that quickly. Let me copy that path that we have our NC1 file. So I can just copy that path that my NC1 file has been created, and I can just paste it over here just to see the NC1 file. So as you see, this is my NC1 file just been created, right? So let's work on a model that was the orientation is not what the CMS expects. So as you see, it's just the other way. So it's and that if I just go to the front web, this is my front web. Sorry, not the front web, front face, right? So this is my front face. So this is not exactly that we want. So all we have to do is, like, you just make sure that's your angle. Look like an L, right? This is an angle, and we always suggest, like, when you're working on an unequal angle, just make sure your long hand is actually shown on the vertical side when you are setting your orientation. So right now, as you see, it says bottom upside down even. Once I click on this set orientation thing, it just brings everything to front, right? And if I just look at right now, and then take a look on the UCS even. So this is exactly has been transformed that we want, right? And then all you have to do is click over here after that settings. So it will just show you your DSTV file that's been created over here, right? And if I just go back to my folder over here, as you see, this is a new DSTV file has been created over here, right? So we can just verify that again. As you see, this is my unequal angle. My drills operations are all as expected showing up over here, right? So the same goes for equal angle. So this is an example again. As you see, if I just go back to rotate my stuff to the front, as you see, this is exactly what I needed for my conversion, right? So I don't have to set my orientation. I can just click over there and have my DSTV file over there. As you see, this is the DSTV file has been created, and I can just go and verify again, refresh that page, and this is I probably got the wrong size on my end. That's why it's causing it. So it's probably on on the eye properties, it's 3 by 3. Probably it's not 3 by 3. So I can just easily verify that. Going back to the font, go to the tools. It's a 4-inch, right? So that's why it's so it was wrong in the it didn't show you there, right? The error didn't pop up, but that's the reason why. Like when you come to your viewer, you'll see that right away the size was wrong, right? So all you do is just come over here. Either you just update your size from there. This one over here, or you can just map it from our CMS viewer as well. So once I do that, and the thing will be updated. So I go back to the CMS, I regen that. As you see now right away, that's has been updated. And I go back to my CMS viewer, right click again. As you see, here you go. My NC1 file has been updated and been corrected, right? So it's just, the software comes with like, QA need to be done on both your end, when you visually verify that, plus it just gives you clues when there is, set orientation issues, and also if there is any issues with the shape size. If the shape size is not there, but if you have wrong information, then you have to verify that from your CMS viewer, right? So now I want to show you an example of, well, this is a different same kind of parts again. So I'm just going to want to show you an example of a derived part. So derived part is, as you see, like, even though I can see those drills positioned over there, but the sketch is not here, right? That there's no feature. It's coming from a different, from the other part, right? So the part is derived. So I can still handle it. So if I just take a look on the orientation, this is exactly what I'm looking at. See, right? So my front is on the right side, right? And it's on as expected, right? I don't have to set or I do not have to do anything actually. So I can just click on there and create my DST file. So this is an imperial shape, matrix shape. So as you see, this is a 200 PFC size. I can just go ahead and verify that again. I think that's the one. Yeah, there you go. So as you see, my opening was on the far end over here. And this is where I see my opening is located, right? So I can just, remove my shape lines and see the DSTV lines here. So all the slots and holes and opening was all coming correct, right? There's the same thing over here. As you see, I can just, for this part as well, so I can just, rotate that and show you the position. As you see, this is where I'll be looking at to that part because I'm looking at everything from the front face. So I just go over there and hit generate DSTV. Oops, see, there is an error. So let's see what the error is. So it's just going to show you that, hey, say couldn't obtain the shape size and parameters. So there must be some it couldn't match the information with our CMS database, right? So let's go and take a look over there. What's going on there? So let's go back to iProperties, and as you see, this is wording issues, right? So in our CMS library, we expect to see that as a 200 PFC, not PFC 200, right? So I can just correct that quickly, or I can just map it from our CMS shape catalog from there. So once I do that and rerun it, there you go. So it's just going to disappear. The problem will be disappeared, and the DST file will be created. And I can just go ahead and verify that again. So this is the one, as you see. If I just remove my shape lines, this is exactly what I'm looking at on my window over here, right? So I have my slots and drills are all incorrect. So as you see, I have my vertical slot and then horizontal slots. Everything is going right. So as I said before, we can work on both your matrix shapes and imperial shapes. So it's just gonna you just have to make sure that you are assigning your part to the correct size with the correct country standard as well, right? For the matrix and imperial. So now let's talk about quickly some what happens if you want to work on an assembly, right? This is a simple assembly here. I have a very small assembly here. As you see, I have an I-beam here, and I have a couple of plates associated with that drawing, right? So, and then as you see, some of the plates are repeated components, right? So you don't need NC1 file for all of those. So the software will realize which NC1 file is are required, right? So if it's if you have 4 plates only, but they're repeated or called a couple of times, CMS will still keep just one NC1 file for one instance. Not all the instances will be there, right? And which makes sense. So all I have to do is make sure that my orientation was as expected. As I said, this has been created from Content Center. So as you see, this is exactly what we look for. So all you have to do is, I want to create the entire thing, right, as a small assembly. So I can just hit on there and wait for the response in CMS. So the CMS will be creating a folder, just exactly what your assembly name is, and it will just create your NC1 file directly from those models, right? So I can just copy that path and verify those NC1 file from my CMS viewer visually. So as you see, this is my I-beam over here, and these are my other plates. So I have my some plates with, as you see, this is pretty straightforward. So bottom line is for now, when you work on an assembly, just make sure your parts are oriented correctly, and when you are bringing stuff from Content Center, no worries, it's just clicking buttons, right? So let's take another example over here. So I just want to show you an example, this one, because I want to tag some parts over here and use that command. As I said, I can tag parts. So I'm going to take these channels and this I-beam over there, right? And I'm going to take, let's say this one, this one here, and this one, right? I can tag those parts and the tagged components. Oh, I missed those tag. Anyway, I'll just go ahead with these two. And once I do that, as you see, it creates a new folder for me, okay? And on that folder, it just creates the NC1 file that I selected. So I can just copy that and verify that visually over here. So this is, as you see, if I remove my shape line, I can see this is my channel here, and there is my angle. As you see, I'm sorry, this is my I-beam with the copes, right? And this is how things works on your part level, right? So you can even work on and select it. As I said, I can just select those members. Let's say I select this, and I can just generate DST from those selected as well, right? And as you know, already my folder is created, so I probably have to go and verify that again. That's I should have deleted that first because it's the same on the same library. So I have to delete that, or I can just stamp. If I just go to the settings here, if you just redo every time, you can just timestamp your DSTV folder. And then it will just if you rerun that part that assembly again, it will create a new folder for you, and with that, right? So let's get rid of that and try to select one of the members here and run it. And as for some reason, this angle is giving me a hard time. To take a look into that, but this is how it works. I can just select anything that I want, and I can just generate those DSTV files from those, as you see over here. So I can just this option will all work as well. Okay, so the last part that I want to show you is what do you do with your step files and your IGS files. So I'm just going to open a sample step files here, right? I'm just going to open this one here. So it's trying to recognize the step files, and it's running some background process. And there you go. As you see, it's just opened it. So I can just, isolate a member from here, right? And I can just remember, I said like, I have to get rid of my plates because, I can process those plates later, but I have to delete them for now because I'm just working on a single body model, right? And because the DSTV can only work on, can be created for single body only, right? And then I can right click over here and recognize feature, and that comes with your feature recognition tool. So once I click on that, this the automatic feature recognition tools pops up. You click on there and you just select apply, and it just try to create a feature for you, and I say yes, go ahead and do that. And as you see, it just created my I-beam right away. I mean the sketch right away. So just taking time to create those features and sketches. As you see, it says the progress is running some process here. So at the end of the day, what it's doing, it's just converting your step file to a native Inventor content, right? Otherwise, the software will not be able to recognize those features, right? So it also saves your file directly as an IPT file, so you don't have to do that. So right now, if you just try to go to your I properties, as you see, you don't have anything. So you don't have any shape size information, part number, anything. So you can go ahead and do that, or you can just map it from your I-beam. So, and as you see right now, this is my front web, and it's not the right one. So I can just go over here and just make this one as my front web. So, sorry, front face. My apologies, I mix this up all the time. So set orientation. So as you see, it just brings to this one as this. So that's going to be my start point over here. And I just click on, before clicking on there, I have to make sure that's the size has been set up correctly, right? So I just go to my I-beam. I think the size of this part is it's a 12 by 106. So I just have to make sure that I select this one over here, and I add it to the part, right? So this time I'm adding the part additionally, externally through my CMS catalog. So once I'm done it, I've done it. So I just click on this and wait for the response to be created a DSTV file. And just taking some time here. As you see, it was not able to grab those details here because I didn't have any part number, any project number, nothing right that, right? So it's just been created by me. So that's what you see over there. And there was no materials associated to that because I didn't set up any materials, right? So anyhow, so that has been created, and let's go and check the DSTV file that's over on that. I'll just go on that and this Inventor folder. So as you see, this is the num. So it just takes your file name right now because you didn't have your part number, right? So it just grabs your your file name, your Inventor document name, and it just save it as it is, right? And let's try to verify that quickly on our viewer. Copy that path again one more time, and let's go to the last one. As you see, it just grouping all this DSTV file here. There you go. So it was able to grab every details on my top flange and bottom flange, right? So this is the process when you work on a step file, right? So the last thing that I want to show you right now is what if you have an IGS file, right? So the process is pretty similar. It works through your feature recognition tool that you have to download if you don't have it right now, that you can download it from your Autodesk app store. That I'm looking for IGS. Where is that? I can see these days. There you go. So I'm gonna come back to my folder. As you see, I have I have a channel, 200 PFC channel here. This is in metric shape. So once I click on that, it just tries to recognize everything. Let's go back. There you go. So as you see, it just popped up as a solid, right? And I don't have the CMS will not do that, so I have to recognize the feature. Let's launch this automatic thing. Let's dictate this, take this face as my start point. So I'm going to say okay. And I think it's done behind the screen. I say finish. Let's create those. As you see, once this is done, errors happen when creating those features listed below. Are the following features creation may be failed? Would you like to accept? It's just failing everything. So once it fails, it fails. Right? If it fails, then you cannot do anything, right? You just have to try to rerun that. Rerun the same thing. So let me get rid of that, and then try to open that. I might have done that process before. Let me get that quickly. Do I have it? Maybe I have it already been converted to IPT. All files. Nope, I don't have it converted right now, but you know that's the process. Since unfortunately it's failing it right now, but again, it's just how it as I mentioned, like, you know, you just have to run your feature recognition. Let me try one more time and hope this works, and apply that. Okay, finish it. I think it's gonna fail again. Oh no, this time it worked. Interesting. So as you see right now, this is where my sketch is located. So this is pretty critical, right? And for that case, I don't have to do anything because my sketch is already on the front face. So I can just go over there, and again, remember one thing, that you don't have your shape information over here. So I can just, you know, quickly add this one over here instead of mapping it from there, right? So I can just do that from here and just click on Get DSTV. So here you go. It creates your DSTV file. So let's go and check that quickly. How did it go? So this is the one that, no, not this one. I think that's the first one that we created. Here you go. So if I remove my shape lines here, as you see, this is exactly what we had on that PFC over there, right? So that's pretty much it. Everyone, thank you very much for your patience, and I'll let Tanya to look for any questions. Thanks.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Mahbub. As he mentioned, we're going to be having a little Q&A period right now. If you'd like to pose a question live, please raise your hand now by clicking on the hand icon in the control panel. Just please also make sure that your computer audio is working correctly. While we wait for any questions to come through, I'd just like to remind everyone that the recording of the webinar will be sent through shortly after the session has closed. As always, please feel free to share the recording with any colleagues. If you'd like to set up a one-on-one demo, we highly encourage you to reach out to our team after the session has ended as well. Our contact details will be available with the recording. All right, so we're just going to give it a few seconds to see if there's any questions that have come through. All right, that seems like a wrap for today. If you do have any questions, as I mentioned, we're more than happy to get to them either today or tomorrow. You'll have our contact details in the email with the recording. Once again, I would just like to say thank you to Mahbub and thank you to everyone who attended the webinar. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.